let's have a look, configure networking, this part. So this section is going to discuss configure IP network connectivity, implement name resolution, implement wireless network connectivity, remote access overview, remote management. These topics are going to look at. Now configure IP network connectivity. Part of this one we're going to discuss Windows network configurations. Windows network configurations, overview of IPv4 settings, defining subnets, public and private IP addressing, implementing automatic IPv4 addressing, tools for configuring network settings, tools for troubleshooting network connections, IPv6 in Windows 10 and IPv6 addressing. So these topics we're going to look at in details. Now, Windows network configurations, we can go to settings, and from there we can go to network and internet, and we'll be able to see whether we have internet connections or not, Wi-Fi setup, Ethernet. Usually these sort of things we need, but some extra features we have such as VPN, airplane mode, mobile hotspot. If we want to access those device, mostly we need to enable or disable those things. But in network connections, we can see on the right hand side as well. On the right hand side, see there's a network icon. So sometimes it's showing that it has a network. If it doesn't have any network, it's showing, providing you the round, round, sometimes cross, sometimes yellow triangle. So that's kind of like indications. But if you have a normal internet connections, you will get this kind of icon. Okay. Now overview of IPv4 settings. So IPv4 is Internet Protocol version 4. So majority of the IP address assignment we do with this IPv4. So in any of the networking device, we need to have IP address. IP address is kind of their locations informations. For example, when you come to our network, like if you are in this classroom, we have a separate IP address for this classroom. This is providing from these routers. But if you go back to your home network, your home, you may have a different routers over there. It may provide you different IP addresses. So IP address is kind of like your address. Let's say you have your home address, same like this computing device, they have the, in the computing device, they have their address as well. So if you'd like to send any packets or traffic, then we need the address. That's why IP address is important. But IP address, it has another thing called subnet. Now we have the subnet 1. Under this subnet 1, we have 192.168.2.180. This is one IP. 181, this is another IP. 182, this is another IP. So you have different IP addresses. And this is another subnet. We have 1.200, 1.201, 1.202. This is another subnet. But in Microsoft level, we are just looking at only one subnet, how to assign IP address and stuffs. When you do Cisco course, that time we cover in details all this networking part. But at the moment, we need to know some basic things. For example, we need to know that any IP address start with 0, and maximum number we can use 255. So first IP address 192.168.10.1, for example. Second one will be 10.2, 10.3, 10.4. So each of the unique IP will be for a different device. And maximum will be 192.168.10.1. 255. And the last valid IP will be 192.168.10.254. Valid means last IP address automatically used for broadcast purposes in the network. We don't use that one. So valid IP will be 192.254. That means 254 address you'll be able to use. And network ID 192.168.10.0. 0 is indicating the network. So we don't assign this 0 IP address and 255 IP address. We don't assign to any device. We assign normally from 1 to 254. This is the block we have. And this is, we call it private address. Private address means anyone can use their network. Private address, anyone can use their internal network, but in order to communicate with the internet, we need a public IP. So private IP is not displaying outside, but public IP, they are routable to the internet. Like your mobile phone. Mobile phone, if you are in the street, so your mobile phone need to have a public IP. And that's how it communicate. You can use internet and other things. Same like any of the internet connections, anywhere, if you are using internet connection, that means our device somehow communicating via public IP addresses.
So these all the private IPs, the 192 series.
This is only one series, but there are many other series as well.
Okay.
Yes. Normally in Microsoft environment, we just discuss few things with the IP addressing, but in the Cisco, this is more on networking. We discuss very details about subnetting and many other things associate how to do the subnet design. Yes, how to do the subnet design and all the systems. Now, defining subnets, a subnet mask specify which part of an IPv4 address is the network ID and which part is the host. In this example, 192.168.1.200, this is one single IP address, and mask is 255.255.255.0. This is fixed. And which network is belongs to 192.168.1.0. This is the 0 network. Now, if you have different subnet, like subnet 1 and subnet 2, if you have two different subnet and if they want to communicate, they need a default gateway or router. A default gateway is a device, usually a router on a usually a router on a TCP/IP internet network that forwards IP packets to other subnets. Now, public and private IP addressing. Public required by device and host that connect directly to the internet must be unique, routable on the internet, must be assigned by IANA. IANA, they are the organizations who look after all this IP addressing and everything. We have a private address as well. Private address, they are non-routable on the internet, can be assigned locally by organizations, must be translated to access the internet. That's like private addresses.
Sir, sorry, sir, I don't understand the slide 6 and 7. So it's only showing the IP addresses, but slide 6.
Oh, sorry. So this one?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
Those 2-3 computers and different IP addresses. So
okay. So at first you need to understand the subnet. Subnet means one of the network. This is, let's say, one network, and this is like another network. There's a two different network. And how we differentiate two different network, you can see that subnet 1, we have 192.168.2.180. This is 2 network, 2 and 2, right? But
Okay.
this is start with 1.200, 1.202, 1.201. So subnet 1, they have a different address, and subnet 2, they have a different address. In here, like they put a shortcut, but actually we have two different subnet, 192.168, 1.100, sorry, 1.0/24 network. Okay, I didn't put slash, 1.0, 192.168, 2.0. So you can see that two different subnet. So this is one network. Subnet means a one network, and this is another network, two different network. So in the company, sometimes we separate the network to two different network. The reason why we don't want to put them together in one subnet. That's why we separate them. But it's saying that if we separate, then we must have to have some kind of router. If you have a router, then they'll two different subnet, they'll be able to communicate.
Okay. And for the slide 7, so slide 7, it's like only this kind of IP we can using, or it's an example?
So IP ad is just showing that from one subnet how we can assign one IP addresses.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Right. For example, if you looked at this one, 192.168.10.0, this is like a subnet informations. Okay, this is the ID. After that, you have a 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, 10.4, 10. Up to 10.254. So this IP addresses we'll be able to use. Okay, and
Okay.
10.0, this is a subnet ID we don't use. This is a broadcast IP we don't use. Okay, in the
Okay.
local area network for broadcasting purposes, this IP is used, and this is the network ID. Network ID just indicating the group number, group ID number, but we don't assign this IP address to anyone. So it's saying that how this IP address works is saying that 192.168.1 till now is like a subnet or part of the network, and this is the IP address. This is the mask, and this is the network ID. So under this network ID, this is one of the IP address.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So IP address we discuss in full details in CCNA course, because that's more on networking part. But in Microsoft, we just need to know how we can assign the IP address.
Okay. Okay.
Now this IP address can be assigned manually. Like today we configured the IP address, we did manually, right? We typed the IP in our servers and in our client as well. Servers means Windows servers, client means Windows 10 computers. But IP address can be provided from DHCP servers as well. If you have a DHCP servers, then it can provide the IP address automatically. For example, when you connect to any network, do you assign any IP address? No. You automatically get the IP address, but that's because of the DHCP servers. In your home router or anywhere you go, they have the router, and usually router have the DHCP servers. DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configurations Protocol. DHCP servers assign the IP address automatically.
Okay.
Now, tools for configuring network settings. Windows 10 provides a number of tools to enable, configure, and manage network connections and settings. We use network and internet, network and sharing center, network setup wizard, Windows PowerShell, and command prompt. In command prompt, we have a sh. So these are the way we can manage our network settings. But how to manage network settings? If I go to my settings tab, I can see the network and internet, and I have all these options in here. Okay, all the network options. Now, tools for troubleshooting network connections. We have Event Viewer, Windows Network Diagnostics, right? Event Viewer, we're going to look at all of them in details. Event Viewer is a view errors relating to the network activity. We'll be able to see the log, like if for example something is not working, what could be the possible issues? We'll be able to see some errors or logs over there. Windows Network Diagnostics. So we have one of the options in here, right click, see the troubleshoot problem. If you click that one, this Windows Network Diagnostics, it will find and resolve the network issues in many cases. Right click, troubleshoot problems. If you click this one, it will detect the problems and it will resolve the issues automatically. Currently, I don't want to do much things, but that's how it fixes the issues. ipconfig today we have used to check the IP address informations. Ping and path ping. Ping is used to check the network connectivity, and path ping, this is used to this is from the MacBook or Linux machines we using this path ping. It's the same thing. Tracert, with that verify a routing path. NSLOOKUP, test the name resolutions. Name servers lookup, like if you, what is your DNS server's IP address, or what is your DNS servers located in your network, it can find out those informations. Windows PowerShell, configure and troubleshoot network related settings. Microsoft Message Analyzer, capture and analyze network traffic. This is one of the applications. It can be downloaded from online, and then that can be used as well. Yeah, that's Microsoft Message Analyzer. This is one of the applications. It's kind of like a Wireshark Message Analyzer. Yeah. This is also like free tools, can be downloaded from They'll remove this download link as well. Oh my god. That's okay. It's not that significant stuffs, but Microsoft Message Analyzer, this is one of the tools, is a applications can be downloaded from online. With that you can capture and analyze the network traffic, like in your computers, how many traffic is coming, how many traffic is going, your network card is busy or not, those kind of things can be seen over there. Now another thing, have IPv6. IPv4 we are using, but only reason we need to use IPv6, the major reason is IPv6 can provide us large number of addresses. IPv4 like few millions addresses, but IPv6 huge number of addresses we'll be able to get, because these days there are many devices, so we need a large address space. Hierarchical addressing and routing infrastructures, stateless and stateful address configurations, required support for IPsec, restored end-to-end communications, prioritized delivery, new protocol for neighboring mode interactions, extensibility. So IPv6, it has some advantages. First thing is we will get a lot of public IP. Another thing is it supports many security features. That's the advantage we have. But IPv6 still we are not using a lot, like ISP level, some large company they using. But majority of the places still we using the IPv4. Overview of IPv6 addressing. IPv6 address types, you have unicast, multicast, anycast. So unicast is used for one-to-one communications between host. Multicast is used for one-to-many communications between computers that are defined as name and same multicast address. Remember, unicast means one-to-one communications. Multicast means kind of like a group communications, like we are doing at the moment in this Zoom. So basically, that is a group communications. So that means over there, some kind of multicast communications is happening. And anycast is used in IPv6 is used for locating services or the nearest router. And this IPv6 unicast address, we have global unicast. Global unicast is globally routable and reachable on the IPv6 portions of the internet. They are kind of like a public IP address in IPv4. Link local. Link local is used when communicating with neighboring host on the same link. Link local is a special address used in IPv6 to communicate in IPv6 devices. Unique local unicast is equivalent to IPv4 private address space. Unique local is same like a private address. IPv4 we have a private address. It's similar to that. But IPv6, it's rarely used in ISP and large organizations. You'll not find in any of the normal network. Like all the devices they support, but we are not using a lot at the moment. So this is the pretty much information we have looked at about IPv4 and bit of IPv6. But now we're going to look at name resolutions. So what is the name resolutions? Overview of DNS servers, troubleshooting name resolutions. So these topics you're going to look at. Now, name resolution means is resolve the name. So this is one of the core things we are using every day. Like we understand the name, but computer understand the IP address. So when you say www.google.com, your computer need to find the IP address for google.com. So we have a DNS servers. DNS servers main job is translate name to IP and IP to name. Like we understand, we say, if I say Google, you understand Google. But if I say IP address, maybe you don't know what IP address, but we understand the name. But computer don't understand the name. Computer need IP address. That's why we need to have a DNS servers. Usually, if you get internet connections, your ISP will have the DNS servers. But if you work in large organizations, those organizations, they will have their DNS servers. Okay. So DNS servers, what it does, it's actually keep track of the all name and IP address inside your network, also in the global internet. That is the main job for DNS. So in our configuration wise, we must have to put a DNS IP. If we do not put the DNS IP, your computer will not be able to resolve the name to IP and IP to name. So every device, your mobile phone, your computers, if you do IP config, if I do Like for example, in my actual device, if I do ipconfig/all, see, it's showing me the DNS servers. DNS servers is 3.250 or DNS servers is 3.1, like that. They are the DNS servers. Must have to have a DNS servers. And another thing called host file. And host file, it's same like DNS servers, but it functions only in the local PC. In local PC, we have one of the options. We can manually register the name and IP address. So that is called host file. These days, we are not using much host file because our DNS servers is everywhere. But we used to have another options called host file. Host file is a locations or folder where we can put name and IP address informations. In this way, your local PC knows what is the name and what is the IP for that particular locations. So this is a bit of details about DNS. Let's say this is one of the workstations. What is the IP address of Microsoft.com? So this PC will contact with the root DNS servers. So if this PC don't have IP, so your local DNS servers will contact with many different DNS servers in the internet, and it will find the right IP address and provide to your computers. That is the main job for DNS servers. So DNS servers will do hierarchical name resolutions. At first, it will contact with root servers. If root server doesn't know the IP, it will contact with .com. If .com doesn't know the IP, it will contact with Microsoft.com. In this way, multiple servers it will query and get the answer and return to the PC.
So it's in totally one server or in total 4 servers or 5 servers, the DNS?
All of them is DNS servers, but
Yeah.
we're talking about local DNS servers. So local DNS servers, this is like, inside the company. So these
Yeah.
DNS servers will contact some other DNS servers which is in the internet. Okay.
Okay.
So in the company, you may have one of the DNS servers, like in our Active Directory servers, we have one DNS server, but that is that can work locally. But if it doesn't know the other informations, it will contact with the internet and find out the answer for you. But in your home network, how it works, we have a DNS servers. Like if you get the internet connections, ISP give you small routers, right? And that router you'll have IP address, Wi-Fi,
Yes.
then you have DNS informations as well. It's already set up. So as soon as you connect and put the username and password, it will contact with the ISP. So every time you try to get something, that small device, it will forward all your query to ISP. So ISP has a DNS servers, and ISP find out the IP for you and give it to you. That's why
Okay, so
sometimes
the
when
Wi-Fi router will hit the DNS from the ISP, then it will
yes,
automatically connect the network.
correct, yeah. So that's why usually when you type one address, initially it will take a bit of time. You have to wait for a few seconds at least. But once you get one time, and then next time if you want to get the same thing, you'll get automatically. You don't have to wait for a long time.
Okay.
So troubleshooting name resolutions. So what happened? We have a cache, browser cache, right? Always we have a browser cache. So in your browser you got like many stuffs. So that's why if, for example, if your browser got old address and you try to get that things, maybe you'll not be able to open that site. That's why sometimes you close the browser, open the browser again. Sometimes you restart the computers, right? And try. Because why we do that? Because In this way, we can remove the old informations. That is called cache. Clear the DNS server's resolver cache. Verify connectivity to the remote host by IP address. Verify connectivity to the remote host by hostname. If test is unsuccessful, edit the host text file. Repeat step 3. It's saying that we need to check the name resolutions properly. So there's a few different methods. If I go to my PowerShell command, we have some PowerShell command around that, such as get dash DNS client cache. This is one of the command. Once you apply this command, look at that, how many cache. Cache means it has these informations. It has like somehow like, you know, I tried many different websites and things, so it remembered those things. That's a cache. By default, this cache will get refreshed, but this is the cache we have. Now, if I have old informations, then what will happen? I'll not be able to open the page properly. I'll get some error message or something. Then I need to close and open again, and I'll try a few things. But best way to troubleshoot your troubleshoot the DNS is, at first you need to clear DNS client cache. If I clear, then what will happen? The old informations may be removed, majority of them. Look at that. Now I have only 4 informations. Before I had many things, right? Now I got only 4 of them. So in this way, like I don't have this old cache, but there's a default cache, refresh time. It's usually 1 hour, but sometimes cache doesn't get removed properly, and then we need to troubleshoot DNS systems. But remember, always clear the cache, and then in this way you'll be able to resolve many issues. So, similar steps. NSLOOKUP is another like a command line tools. With that, you can check the DNS name informations as well. But usually what we do, let's say I do NSLOOKUP. NSLOOKUP will tell me the my DNS IP address. My DNS IP is 192.168.3.250. That is one of the DNS servers we have over there.
What is NSLOOKUP, sir?
NS means name server lookup. This is one of the command. With this command, we can find out the DNS server's informations.
Okay.
NS stands for name server. Name servers, DNS server, they're the same thing. Now implement wireless connectivity. So we have some wireless network technologies, configure Wi-Fi settings and profiles, set up wireless display with Miracast. Wireless network technologies, modern networks are often a combination of wired and wireless network. Like this is, we have switch, we have some PCs in here, we have some routers, internet connections. So every network these days we have a wireless device. In Windows 10 computers, we can go to settings, home, and network and internet, we can check the Wi-Fi connections, whether it is on or off. And if it is off, we need to turn it on. And basically we can get the domain informations and you can put the password. That's how we can log into that network. So this is standard things. After that, Miracast means projections. Like for example, from my computers, I always do like that. This is a projections. I can make it duplicate my two screen. I can extend as well. So that's kind of like a Miracast. Miracast means I'm casting my these informations to projector. I'm casting over there. That's called Miracast.
Like same skill. If I use the same skill.
Yeah.
Same
That's also called Miracast, yes, because you can do either duplicate or you can extend. Yeah, that thing's called Miracast in Microsoft. It's kind of like you casting these things over there. But especially it's related with the projectors, because some projectors has a Wi-Fi connections, and projectors you can connect with your laptop. It supports, like from your laptop you can cast to somewhere else with the TV, in the projectors like that.
If I use the two skill, like same two skill, that called Miracast.
Yes, because you casting your informations from that's not directly, because it's the same computers using two monitors. That's not directly Miracast. It's like that's a two display. But casting means like from my system I'm casting this one to another system, right? If you have used Google Chrome, with the Google Chrome, for example, you have a mobile phone, right? Over there you have a YouTube. So that YouTube you can cast to your TV. There's many different smart TV you can do that. That's called casting.
Yeah. We call normally PR, like TV Pro mobile or something.
Yes, so that's in Microsoft terms. This is called casting. We casting from here to somewhere, other device. It came from Google Chromecast, because Google Chromecast means even if your TV is not smart, if you purchase one of the Google Chromecast device and connect with your TV, you can cast from your mobile to your TV. It came from that concept. Now let's have a look some remote access overview. This section we're going to discuss VPNs, creating a VPN connections in Windows 10, and always on VPN. What is a VPN? VPN is a virtual private network. So currently we are communicating via the internet, but this is not like a encrypted tunnel. This is like a we using one application with that we are communicating. But what VPN does, VPN actually create private channel or private tunnel from one location to another locations. For example, you have a branch office and you have a head office. In these two offices, if you'd like to establish the connectivity, we can use VPN. With the VPN, we can connect one side to another side in a secured way. And these days, many people working from home. So if they're working from home and from home to company network, if they want to access, they use the VPN as well. From home, they're using one applications kind of like that. And with that applications, they connect to the company network. So this is a secured way. Like at the moment, you are using the TeamViewer, right? They're using the TeamViewer in this way. They are logged in here. But this is not like this is good, but it's not fully encrypted, right? But VPN is similar sort of things. It's a remote connections, but in a secured way you can connect. Like TeamViewer, they provide the username and password, kind of like their site. Probably it's their security, but in the company, we need to have a VPN servers in the company. Special VPN servers, and from home we can use our Windows 10 machines. But in our Windows 10 machines we can set up the VPN client software, because in this software we can say the connections name and server name, like this is the VPN server name. After that what kind of tunnel it will be, and then username and password. So if we do not have these steps in Windows 10, then we need to purchase this software. But good thing is, in Windows 10, if we go here, settings, see the internet and network, we have a VPN. Say add a VPN connections. You can add this one. So this is a very good stuff. Otherwise, you need to purchase this, small thing. But Windows has a built-in VPN client, which will help you to connect to the company network or different VPN provider network. And there's another thing called Always On VPN. Always On VPN is one of the services from Microsoft, and this is one of the server features. With that, you can do it. That's called direct access. With the direct access, you'll be able to use this Always On VPN services. So this is from the server side, but we don't have to do much stuff from our client side. So after VPN, we have remote management. In the remote management, we're going to look at what is remote desktop, using remote assistant, and remote desktop services. So remote desktop services, which is a built-in features that people use to access computers from other devices that support RDP. Used by administrators to connect to remote devices for management purposes. So remote desktop, this is one of the most common thing we are using in the industry. Remote desktop work in same network. For example, in our network, if I want to connect to any of the computers, I can use this remote desktop service. It's same like a TeamViewer, but TeamViewer working like via the internet. But remote desktop, it doesn't work via internet, it's on the local network. For example, I have two servers, right? One is I have the servers and I have the client machines. So if I logged into my client machines, let's say in client machines, we have a remote desktop client. So if I search for remote, look at that, it came up, remote desktop connections. If I open these connections, then I can put the remote server's IP, in this case 192.168.10.1, that is my server's IP. But I need to enable these features in the server, then it will work. And then if I click connect, not sure is ready or not. If it is ready, then I can connect. Yeah, it's asking me the password, administrator. This is the username and password is this one. Remember, I'm in my Windows 10 computers. This is my Windows 10 PC. Password is okay, remember me. I can log in. In this way, remotely, I can log into another servers or any machines, but it's work in the local network. Sometimes it's handy. For example, you're working for a company, but you need to manage, other people's computers. For that, you don't need TeamViewer. You can do remote desktop. So we are using remote desktop a lot. It's is known as a terminal services. With that, we can connect to the remote devices.
So we can check directly from our server to this PC.
Yes, it works with the same network. Now my PC is 10.2 and my servers is 10.1. So I know before I tested, right? Like we looked at before,
yes.
they're communicating. So if they're communicating, I'll be able to remote desktop to my servers. Look at that. Now I can connect. This is my Windows 10 machines, but I remotely logged into my Windows servers. So you can log into any Windows 10 or Windows servers, Windows machines with this remote desktop connections. See, now I mean actually, if I minimize, that's my Windows 10, but this is the button, this is my Windows servers,
Okay.
because I remotely logged in with the remote desktop connections.
Okay. So
And
if I currently I'm home and I need to access my server, so I can remotely access from home to the office, this server.
no, remote desktop work in local area network.
Oh,
Look,
so I have to be in the office.
you have to be in the office, or somehow with the VPN connections, you can log into your office. With the VPN connection, let's say you logged into your office, right? And
Yeah.
once you logged into your office, now in your office you have a 100 device. Then you can do remote desktop to any device you like.
Oh, okay.
Understand?
Okay. Yes.
But this, see, the in the server side, you need to enable the remote desktop. Okay, remote desktop you need to enable. If you enable, then you'll be able to log in.
Okay.
And remote assistance, this is another thing we have, is similar to remote desktop, but it has some advanced features like chat sections and other stuff. But this one works slightly bit different way. You need to put a you need to invite someone, they will give you the token. After that you'll be able to log in. This is it's similar to remote desktop, but it has bit more security than remote desktop. This one we are not using much, because you need to have another person on the other end who will give you the some code, then you'll be able to log in. Like a TeamViewer, yes. Yes, but TeamViewer password someone need to give you somehow, right? You need to call, or if it is a complex password, long password, someone need to tell over the phone. So you need two people. That's why it's slightly bit different. This is also working local network. Now Microsoft has another services. This is like pretty similar to TeamViewer, but you need to have a separate license, and these things you need a separate server license and need to install. This is called remote desktop services. But in order to configure these stuffs, you need to have a remote desktop gateway servers, and for that you need to have a certificate, service and licenses. This one bit more advanced configurations is required. And remote all this remote management and remote configurations you can do with the PowerShell command as well. If you want to verify the remote management status, you can do winrm winconfig. If you want to enable the PowerShell remoting, we can say enable PS remoting dashboards.